You know, the one thing that keeps coming up as I speak to people about their coming out stories, and for the loved ones of those that have come out, is that for many people, especially those who came out years ago, even decades ago, the experience was so very different. There was way more fear, way more chance of attack, way more discrimination, way more uncertainty, and often far, far less understanding. And yet today, we're living in a time where the LGBTQ+ community is even more visible than ever before. There are more voices, more representation, more openness, and that is something truly powerful. But with that visibility also comes new conversations. Some people feel that identity is more accepted now. Others feel that it's sometimes misunderstood or even simplified. There are those that wonder if parts of it are at times seen as a trend rather than a deep personal truth. This show isn't about what's right and what's wrong, it's about perspective. It's about experience. It's about authenticity. It's about understanding the journey from where it was to where it is now, because every generation walks a different path. But every story still deserves to be heard. So, welcome to this episode of Coming Out. Let's open this conversation and hear what it really feels like for those that... Episode 2 of Coming Out features the elegant, the charismatic, and dare I say the incredibly talented Sudi Rick Karatash. How are you, young man?
I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm really good. Lovely to see you. Now, thank you for agreeing to be on this show, because I know it's kind of having to share bits that are quite personal, but also saying that you've also kind of written a book called Rainbow Relatives that supports this show. So I guess this kind of subject is pretty common for you to talk about, right?
Yeah, kind of. Since the book, yeah. And I think it's great what you're doing with this. So I think hopefully like the book is helping people as well and making it easier. Yeah.
I'm just a nosy bastard, quite frankly. I want to hear but I do hope it's helping others. Can you take me back to a time, like just a moment when you realised that you wanted or you needed to start, when I say being honest with yourself, I mean coming out is very different to being honest with yourself, because sometimes it's not always easy to come out, but when you felt that you needed to kind of like change things up a little bit and tell people.
Yeah, I mean, because I came out very, very late because I didn't do anything till very, very late. So I think I justified, I didn't have to say I was gay if I had never done anything, but at some point, in 7th grade, I probably started to realize, okay. Yeah. But I suppressed it for a long time and all that, and I didn't do anything till I was like 25. And then I felt so guilty I didn't do anything until I was like 27, But I've made up for it since, but...
We're not asking those questions on this show.
Right,
yeah. We'll do another show.
But then, you can't really come out to other people if you're not comfortable with yourself or you haven't admitted it to yourself yet. So I think when I was, late 20s is when I first told anybody, I guess, after telling myself or agreeing with myself, okay, yeah.
And what was the reason for telling people? Like, why did you think, right, I'll do it now?
Well, it's funny. Once was my 10-year high school reunion, actually. I'd forgotten about this till the other day. It was 10 years after the reunion, and one of the other guys from our class, after the reunion, we all went to a bar, kind of a bunch of people, and he kind of came out to me. Like he had said he was gay, and he came out to a bunch of people that night and was kind of hard and blah, blah, blah. And that's when I kind of said something back to him. Even though I don't think I had done, that's when, after I'd done the one time, but that was it. And that's when I kind of came out to him where I admitted I might be gay too. So that was actually the very first time, and I'd forgotten all about that until the other day. And then after that, I had friends that I worked with. I worked with a bunch of guys that were openly gay, and I was still not. And I just pretended I was straight. And then finally, one of them got me to admit it. So I came out to him, and I'd never been to a gay bar even. He said, we have to take you to a gay bar. So he took me there. And, so those were, I think, the first two people I came out to. And then and then a few other friends, and then the parents, which is probably the hardest for everybody. Again, I was almost 30, I think, when I came out to them. So that's very late. But that's because, back then it was harder. Like we're talking 35, how many years ago? Something like that.
When you were 30,
Oh, no.
eight,
Almost 30. So about
about,
25, 30 years ago.
about
Yeah.
8 years ago, no?
Huh? 8 years.
About eight
Right.
years.
Ages ago. No, I'm 61. So it was, yeah, like 30 years ago. And that's a whole nother story with my mom. Oh, you're saying like when you had to come out or,
Well,
she was
just,
asking
yeah,
a lot of questions.
when you wanted to, like, it wasn't
Yeah.
even, or did you have to come out? Like, was there no choice?
Well, no, you have to be ready. No, I was, I mean, my mother was asking me all these questions and I finally, said to her, because I could tell she knew and she was just trying to get me to say it. So I did. But I was living in New York City. She was in Long Island. I was visiting them and she was asking me, well, your friend, she's really attractive. Why don't you guys date? Why don't you, because I was never dating anyone and stuff. And she's asking me all these questions and, well, why don't you date? And what's going on? And blah, blah. I'm like, I really got to catch a train back to the city, Mom. And, so finally she said something, is it men or something like that? Like, or does it have to do with, I forget how she led up to it, but I could tell by the questioning. Oh, she said something like, we love you no matter what. That's something she said. So I was like,
Oh,
okay,
thank
she
you.
knows. So anyway, so I finally said, yes, it's men. And so she hugged me. She said, that must be hard. She goes, well, we love you no matter what. And, so, and then my dad was outside when she was questioning me, but he kept saying, leave him alone when she was asking all the questions. And I think when I finally admitted it to her, he had gone somewhere else. So he didn't hear that. And then a few months later, my sister said, Dad's asking if you're gay. And I told him to talk to you. And then I felt bad. We're like keeping it hidden from him. So then I sent him a letter or something, but which is kind of good advice for people. You want to be careful you don't, kind of offend someone that you maybe should tell or leaving out. And
But it's really not easy. And it's kind of like, it's really, I mean, I remember I met some gay people at work and they were just having such a laugh. And I just became so depressed because I wasn't having a laugh. And they were just so funny. And I just really want to be part of that crowd. I'd never been part of a crowd before. And when my mum was like, if you're very depressed, what's up? And that whole conversation, which I won't go into all of it, but she said, don't tell your father. And then like I met my first partner who was like a scaffolder from the tough part of London. And he was like hard as nails. And my dad was like, oh, where are you going, son? I'm going to Earl's Court with Rick tonight. Oh, a lot of faggots there, boy. And I went, yeah, Dad, yeah, there are quite a few. And I'm literally like backing out the door.
yeah,
And he's like, oh, yeah? And I'm like, and my dad was a hard boy. And I'm like, oh, my God, he goes,
it's funny you said don't tell your father. My mother was saying, oh, you don't need to tell your aunts and uncles and all that.
yeah,
They love you, but I kind of did have to. Now that you mention it, well, you mentioned it a few minutes ago, but since I was writing the book Rainbow Relatives, this is like 8, 9 years ago, I realized, well, it's going to be obvious I'm gay, but the book I'm writing, and so I really should tell my relatives before the book comes out. Obviously, I don't want them, I don't want to be hiding that at that point. I don't want them to feel like so in that respect, yeah, it's called Rainbow Relatives on how to speak to kids about LGBTQ families and friends. And here I was having trouble coming out
yours.
to my own family. And I have relatives in Turkey, which I sent letters to. And honestly, most of them were, fine with it or,
It's difficult to know, though, because like I might have felt safe to tell my dad, but my mum told me don't. And my mum said, don't tell your Auntie Iris and your Uncle Don that, they were very racist and very homophobic, that I thought at the time.
right.
But then I remember having a conversation with them and they went, so you got a partner? I went, yeah, what's his name? Do you have a photo? And I'm like, oh my God, I've got a photo. So it's just like, it's not only do you have to deal with your internal dialogue and the relationships that you have, but then you also have to deal with the relationships that they have with the people that you want to tell and they're telling you, no, don't do that. No, don't tell your auntie or don't tell your father. And actually, when my dad was not he was very, he was a lovely man. He was a beautiful man, but he, he was a lad. I mean, he was a boy, and when he said, come over here, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get beats. And he went, and I was like, oh my God, what do I'm meant to punch him, show him I'm a man? He went, give me a kiss.
Oh.
And I went, what? He goes, I love you. Don't you ever come back and tell me you've got AIDS. Now go and have a good night.
Wow.
But he was beautiful.
Yeah.
so. My mum was like, "Don't you ever tell him; he can never know."
Right. It's funny. My mother was telling me, "Oh, you don't need to tell your aunt, they love you, whatever." And I did. And my aunt left me this most wonderful voicemail on my machine. Doesn't matter. I loved you since you were born, whatever,
Wow.
we don't care, So it was nice. And my other aunt and uncle sent a letter basically saying, we already knew and we're okay. But I felt I had to explain, and I sent them all letters. I didn't know what they knew, what they thought. They watched their Fox News. They watch people that say being gay is, that they're child molesters. Who knows? So I included all this stuff like animals. Some animals are gay. There's a certain percentage. You're born that way. I just went out all this stuff.
Total justification.
And they kind of like, yeah. And they were like, oh, but I didn't know what they heard or what they thought, so I wanted to make it clear, I'm the same person. It's just I happen to be gay,
This is also 30 years ago, pre-TikTok,
Yes.
where every third video is gay or trans on TikTok.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So,
And there was less things on TV, less films or movies or TV shows with gay characters. Now there's a lot, so people can relate to what
yeah,
the problem is, the fear of the unknown, and so people, or not just fear, but just not understanding, or so once they know gay people, lesbians, transgender, they can get. They can feel more comfortable. I think maybe that's the other word. They just maybe feel uncomfortable because they don't feel like they know. But then they watch these shows. Oh, they're just like we are. Modern Family was great because, it showed they just, two guys together, and
it's all regular life, right?
yeah.
But do you think, what was going through your mind when you were like, you posted those letters? Because obviously this is pre-email, right? So you posted those letters and you were waiting for that. You can't think I was going to get to Turkey probably 4 or 5 weeks, 3 to 6 weeks.
I actually sent.
Wait.
Yeah, you're right. I sent them through snail mail. Well, this wasn't it wasn't quite 30 years ago because it was even later. It was a little bit later. I came out, like 28, about 30, but I didn't come out to my relatives till like 35, 36 when I think I started. I don't know if I even started writing.
It's kind of email. Even the year 2000, I was still, only just getting into email then, really. But
yeah, I started email later than everyone else too. I feel like.
What was going on in your life and in your mind and in your nervous system while you was waiting for those letters to hit and to see if you got a reply?
That's a good question. And like I said, when my aunt must have called me the very day she received it, so it took a few days for it to get there. I don't know what I just kind of, I probably. Part of you's thinking, oh, if they aren't okay with it, these are people I love, and I didn't see them often either. That's another thing. When you don't see people often, it's not like you're hiding something all the time because you only see them once a year, once every 2 years at Christmas or something, or so. But yeah, I don't remember what I was thinking. But part of me probably was thinking, I hope they're okay with it and stuff. And it didn't take long for them to get back to me, and no response would have freaked me out, probably. So.
Yeah. Do you think? Did you get the responses from the people that you told? Did you get the responses that you expected? Did people surprise you, or did people disappoint you in the main?
Most of them pleasantly surprised me, when they were okay with it. Especially, even my dad is from a conservative country, Turkey. He's from, and he's very open. I mean, I feel like he was whatever. Like I think he was fine with it. My mother too. Like years and years ago, she was brought up a certain way, and I think had a certain attitude towards gay people because that's what she was taught.
Understood, yeah.
And so, but it's funny, we had next door neighbors that a family moved out and 2 guys moved in. This is after I moved to the city, I think. So she knew these 2 guys that were gay. And, she got to know them. Her pastor in the church was like openly gay, like the new pastor there. And then my sister's husband's sister was gay. So she had all these people, that she's getting to know. And so it's, she said something once, like there was a lesbian couple. She goes, they're really just like everyone else. And I'm like, she was almost saying it to herself. She said it out loud to me. I'm like, I know that. Just that she's saying out loud. It was funny. She was like, yeah, I guess they're just like everyone else. Yeah, exactly.
Did you lose anyone because of it?
Oh, that's a good question. Not that I remember, but if it was someone that I might not have told, but we didn't, it wasn't, maybe someone I knew would be in my life long or something, or wasn't a close friend or something. That's a good question. No, I don't think I lost anyone, but it's funny the reactions, because same thing with the book, the Rainbow Relatives book, when I did a few book signings, that was the thing. I think someone asked me, was anyone negative towards it? The subject matter of the book on LGBTQ or whatever. And most people were very good. But I remember one woman, it was in a Barnes and Noble, and she kind of came up to the little table. She was, "Oh, what's your book about?" And I told her, "Oh, it's about, speaking to parents about coming up, talking to kids about LGBTQ families and friends." And she said something like, "Well, I hope you do well with it, but I got to tell you, I'm like kind of against it or whatever. I don't think God, that's the way he intends it. I have a brother who's gay. I love him, but I don't, he's married, and I just don't think that's right." And then you're not going to argue with someone who's telling you God thinks this, and, you're not really going to, and she wasn't nasty about it, actually. She was just kind of, and then she came back around later, and she said, "I really do wish you well with it." Like she felt she was just, it's wrong. God tells me it's wrong. It's wrong. You're not going to argue with someone like that.
No.
But her intentions weren't like evil or really bad. It wasn't like she's, you're going to go to hell and this and that. And she said she talked to me a little bit. But it's funny, I'm thinking, I don't even know if I said to her, "Your brother is gay, but you don't accept his husband or partner." That's kind of, I didn't, again, scold her, but I think I might have said something like, that's, I don't know. I don't remember what I said.
It's crazy, isn't it? Well, my mum always said, you can't preach to the converted anyway. So,
Yeah.
But it's really, well, we could take this story. Maybe I should do a show about homosexuality and religion and how.
Oh, well, and there's a whole chapter.
Down so many different rabbit holes in it as well. Because
again, pray the gay away. They say in my book, the chapter on religion is pray the gay bashers away, because they're the problem. But that's completely. Yeah, that's a whole religion, and and again, it's funny. I think a lot of people do have hesitant about coming up because of religion, because of their religious parents. That they're going to be disowned,
or even their environment. I mean, where I live is really old school machista, Mexico. Everything is literally run by the church. So I probably couldn't be out here because it would. I honestly believe it would be a scene from The Wicker Man, if you've ever seen that film, that if the crops failed in the field, they would blame the white homo or that. Like, I really, really honestly believe it would be something like that. So at the best, I could probably say, I don't mind men or women. Do you know what I mean? So, but I kind of think. I mean, I think. Did you feel a pressure to come out, or was it just because you felt it was the right time? Because I've always been kind of the belief that it's on a need to know basis. I don't think you do need to be. You need to. I don't think you need to be out and proud. I think you need to be proud of who you are in your complete form, with your tastes, your likes, your mannerism, like everything. And that's not just regarding to sexual orientation. That's regarding to everything. Be proud of who you are. But I think sometimes being out could be not as clever.
Well, it's not everyone's business, Like, I'll be maybe on a set doing background work. I don't need to let anyone know they're talking about their girlfriend or their wife or this or that. I don't, if I'm having a nice conversation with them or whatever, I might get a little more into my personal life. But, there are some people I have to let it known to everybody, and it's so that, because that's not the most important thing about you, but it's nothing to be ashamed of. And it's an important thing about you. Absolutely. So it's up to you and again, I think the more comfortable you are with it, or I am with it, I think you tend to come out to more people, and it's not a big deal. But again, there's still some people I don't want that person to know. It's not their business, and I don't like them, and I don't, and they could be a gay person, and that's why I don't want them to know, because I don't want them. But so but at the same time, I feel you don't want to hide it too much either, or. Again, when I was younger, it's exhausting actually, kind of hiding it. Or just absolutely. Pretending or whatever. So, it's funny, that reminds me of a story. I was catering once, and you get tired of standing behind a buffet with another guy, and he's pointing out a really hot guest or a girl or something. And I'm saying, well, she's not really my type. And I was, he kept saying stuff, and I was like, and then I started saying, you know what, she's not my type because, and I was giving him all these hints of why she wasn't my type. He just wasn't getting it. Finally,
Really?
I said something, I guess, where he did get it. And I'm not sure his reaction. This is several years ago. It's like 15 years ago. But I didn't have to tell him, and I didn't have to. But it just was like, you know what? I'm not going to just keep pretending that. Oh yeah, I think she's gorgeous too. It's like, and we're standing behind a buffet, and But I feel like he was a little conservative, so maybe I was taking a chance. But anyway, he
But
did
it
leave, he did leave the buffet right after that. No, I'm kidding.
or his number. I mean, that was the possible outcome. Was he leaves a number or the buffet? I was working in this care home for very, very violent and aggressive disabled teens. It was like a nightmare. And I was the shortest little white boy, and all my teammates were big ass, muscled rugby player black boys. I mean, it was like my fantasy come true, to be fair. And so we're chatting, and then I'm out with this one guy who was just desperately handsome, like the most beautiful co-worker I've ever had. I phoned my friend and said, "Oh my God, I think I just met my future husband." I mean, he was just a fucking beautiful man and lovely guy with it. And we were chatting, we were pushing this lad in a wheelchair and everything. We're taking to part. And he goes, "So, Jay, like, you got a missus and that?" I went, "No, man, I'm gay, innit?" And he went, "Raw, you said that so easy." I'm like, "Well, it's not really important, is it?" And he goes, "Like, you're really gay?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'm gay." He's like, "Raw." And then we didn't really talk. We just talked about surface things. Like, they didn't. I just brushed it off like it wasn't even important. There wasn't an issue. I think when you make it an issue, it becomes more of an issue as well.
Right, exactly. And that's the same thing with when in my book in Talking Kids, that's exactly it. If you're kind of hiding it or not talking about certain things, it seems like there's something wrong with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, you reminded me, sorry, of this funny story of one of my coming out stories to a friend. The hot girl that my mother thought I should be with. Because she didn't know for a long time, and then I finally, someone had dumped me. I guess one of the first guys I was ever even dating, I think. So I was really upset, and she knew something was bothering me, but I couldn't really tell her because she didn't know I was gay. And so she's like, "Well, what's wrong? What's bothering you?" She's trying to coax it out of me. She goes, "Let's go for a walk. Let's talk." So we're walking and talking, and she's asking me all these questions. So what's going on? Why are you upset? And so I'm answering her, and I'm again kind of giving answers that are hinting that, well, I'm gay.
Okay, right.
So finally, after a while, I go, "We are talking about the same thing, right?" She goes, "Yeah, you're diabetic, right?" And so from then on, we use the word diabetes or diabetic for a code word for gay. And I have like several friends using that word because she knew exactly what I was talking about. She was a nurse also, so it was kind of funny that she used that word, but she knew exactly what I meant. But I wouldn't say it out loud. I didn't come out and say it. I was just in a roundabout way. And
love it.
So, yeah.
Well, I was petrified coming out to these big ass gay lads. But from that day onwards, they were like, when I came into work the next day, this guy was like, "Hey, princess, where's my gay boy hug?" And I'm like, you can call me princess, actually, I don't mind. And they were.
Well, that's the other thing that some guys will get, they don't mind being referred to as she, and that she and she referring to, gay guys sometimes. And sometimes it's funny and sometimes people don't mind. But don't assume that you can call that person she either. I don't mean the pronoun thing. I just mean the whole,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I actually never liked it. When I had some gay friends like, "Oh, here she is." I'm like, "What?" Oh, right. Nothing. With these, with these like these guys that I was working with, it was just, I mean, like, "All right, princess." I'm like, "All right, tiger." Where's my gay boy hug? I'm like, "Bring it." So it was quite, but I never kind of got into the whole kind of, "Oh, look at her," or I mean, if I knew the person, like one of my friends who was straight, actually, one of my friends used to go, "Oh shit, here she goes again." I'm like, all right, I'm watching you, dude. I'm watching. So it was kind of, that was okay because it was someone I loved and someone I totally respect.
Right.
But don't expect that I'm a sister.
Right. Yeah.
Did you tell me?
The other thing that's changed also is like the word queer. Back 30 years ago, it was a very negative word, and it sounds negative to me, but it's become, but there are, most people now use the word and it's not it doesn't have the same stigma. I mean, I think it's hard for you and I to get past what it used to really mean, but to me, it still sounds like it's just a very queer word to use.
It is, quite frankly. Well, yeah, maybe my mother did know. If I ever had to leave school because I was sick, she went, Jaden won't be in today, he's a little bit queer. So maybe she did know. Maybe it was one of those
Well,
things.
the UK uses fag to talk about cigarettes. You guys have weird words for it.
Well, I used to say I'm just popping out for a homo.
I think I have a really bad joke of like I was going to open up a non-smoking gay bar in the UK, and the sign would say "No fags allowed," but that was too bad a
Love
joke,
it.
so I didn't do
Oh, we
it.
should do that. That would be
It might be one of my scripts somewhere. I have a feeling it's got to
awesome.
be a line in one of my scripts. I
The
think.
power is in the place that you put it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So for me, I don't like queer because, in all honesty, like I'm a male that only finds men attractive. I mean, I know sexually attractive. I can see a woman and feel quite shy and intimidated because she is bloody beautiful, but I'm not going to get a hold on over it. Do you know what I mean? Whereas with a guy, it would be very different, you know. But
Right.
and I never really, even then, felt that I was part of the community, so to speak, because I wasn't into like when I became an artist and a singer, I kind of met loads of drag queens and stuff like that. I didn't get into drag queens per se because of the entertainment. I got into drag queens because they were my mates and they hosted the nights that I was singing at, you know. And strippers never did it for me. Go-Go Boys never did it for me, like ever.
Uh,
My friend was a stripper. He was a straight guy, but he was a stripper in all the gay clubs. And he's like, "Are you going to come and watch me on Sunday?" I'm like, "No, Wayne, I'm not, mate." I said, "I think you are so beautiful, but I don't want to see your pecker on stage in front of 45. I mean, if you ask me out on a date, that's different. But, you know,
right.
like, I don't want to see your pecker in front of 100 odd people."
You remind me, drag queens. The first time I was in my early 20s, or I don't know, mid 20s, and we went to Lips in New York City, which was like a restaurant, but all the waiters were drag queens, and they would be serving you 1 minute and then lip syncing a Cher song if they were Cher or Bette Midler or whatever. But I remember being a little bit freaked out for some reason because I never even really seen drag queens. This is again way back when, and the first time I'm even experiencing it, I'm thinking how silly I was I was like, I mean, but I enjoyed myself. It was fun, but I think at first I felt a little uncomfortable. This is something I
Overwhelming,
wasn't
right?
used to. Yeah.
But even now with the whole LGBTQIA plus, and this, you know, we've got quite a bit of the alphabet going on now.
Yeah.
I never kind of felt that was particularly. I thought it was fun. You know, I was a bit overwhelmed at the beginning, absolutely, because they were larger than life and so intimidating. You know, like incredibly.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't have been, you know, the guys that I would have hung around on with a Saturday night because they were too. I was very quiet, very timid. Like I wasn't very. Sexual humor wasn't and still really isn't like my main form of humor, and that was very prevalent in the community back in the day. And
I'm glad I held back on my sexual jokes during this conversation.
I don't mind now. I'm liberated. But
Oh,
at the
okay.
time, I was very shy. But no, you know, like if I was like Mary, I think because of my church upbringing, I was very like I never spoke about sex. I never spoke about what I was going to do with my boyfriend or what I'd done with my partner. It was something that was left in the bedroom. That was kind of my respect for my relationship. Like, oh my God, this happened last night. You won't believe the size of it. You know what I mean? Like that was never where that was all my friends' conversation, you know, and I never felt comfortable with that. So I never even felt part of the LGB community back in the day because I still felt it was all still very overwhelming to me.
Mhm.
But then the minute you came out, others put you directly into that community. And I was just like a regular shy nerd that just wanted to fall in love with a prince and lived with him happily ever after. That was literally it. Did you feel that you needed to become part of the community or that was the place for you? Or did you still feel kind of a little bit, well, now I'm gay, I guess I've got to kind of fit in with my fam?
Um, I think I didn't feel like I had to go do all, just all gay events or be only with gay people, this or that. But at the same time, the more friends I had that were gay, the more comfortable I felt, and the more you realize you're not alone. And you're like, oh my God, all these people are gay and they're fine. Why, But if you're in like a small, people who live in really small towns, or states that, there's no one for miles around and you have one gay person. That's the thing. When I was in high school, I didn't know anyone who was gay, openly gay. So, and even in college, only a few. So I kind of, for me, suppressing it all those years that's part of the reason. But I think you want to be around people that you're comfortable with or that you have
Understand.
things in
Yeah.
common with. So that makes sense. But I think it's good to have yeah, you're just friends with people that are, or hang out with people you want to hang out with and have similar interests. Um, so it can be, and it's funny, a lot of
Finding
people
your, says
hang
finding
out.
your tribe, right?
Did I what?
Finding your tribe. It's people that resonate
Yeah. And
with
what's
you.
funny is a few friends that I thought was straight ended up were gay. Like we realized later on that we were gay. Like I had a friend from high school, and I was living in the city, and he was coming to visit me. I remember, and I was going to a party, and I was invited him to go to the party. I'm realizing, oh shoot, there's gonna be a lot of gay people at this party, and they all know I'm gay, and it's gonna be obvious that I'm gay to my friend. So on the way there, I told him, something I gotta tell you, I'm gay. He goes, I am too. He says, so it was just funny, but. And there was a couple of people that my roommate in college, first semester, he dropped out of the first semester, but years and years later, we somehow reconnected, and he was gay too, and I was gay. We were both way in the closet back in Narnia,
Wow.
and it's just funny, like
We're everywhere.
everywhere, and hide it, and yeah. So
Do you think? Do you think the problems faced, the challenges faced, not problems, the challenges faced with coming out back in that day, like back in the 30 odd years ago, 25 years ago, even 20 years ago, are very different than the challenges faced now for people coming out? Are they worse? Are there new challenges now? How is it?
what? A good question. I think as for transgender people, it's definitely worse because of all the stuff going on and all the negative and all whoever's in charge of the government, and a lot of times they're trying to pass laws that are anti-LGBTQ, and all that stuff is going on. So we kind of go a few steps forward and then a lot of steps back. So in some ways, I mean, I think it's a lot more acceptable to the average person, and the majority of people in the country, let's say, are totally fine with it. And then you have some of the people running or that are passing these laws, and then you have the certain percent of the population that's going to be just hateful people or racist or homophobic or whatever they are. So I think it's gone back. I think it is a little harder in some ways than it was a few years ago. Like when Obama was in office, and you passed the Prop 8, and you were allowed to get married, and then you were allowed to serve in the military. I think that's gone backwards again. I think it's actually, if you're transgender now, you technically can't, which is so ridiculous. Like if you are going to serve your country, who cares I mean, I don't know. And the people that make those laws are too chicken to go into a war to begin
Oh
with.
yeah, they would never
No.
sign up. Absolutely,
No.
absolutely.
So, I mean,
Do you think sometimes as well, because like the way, especially in the country that you live with, in some levels in certain states, things are going backwards. Things are like regressing, Florida, and the other parts as well.
oh yeah.
Do you think that sometimes the mass media, like the social media of coming out, being trendy, because it is also a kind of a trend now to be bi or gay on some levels, because you're going to get way more hits on TikTok if you put boy love, kiss a boy, blah blah blah.
No.
Do you think on some levels that makes it more safer for people to come out, or do you think it could also be leading lambs to the slaughter?
Well, I think because in some ways, I think it's safer. You're seeing it's becoming more acceptable. You're seeing a lot more gay people who are just, like I said, good examples or good role models and all that. So I think it's better. But but you might have people also that are, on social media that are for bad reasons, or, maybe trying to find the people that are gay to do something to them or something, So I guess it has both, positives and negatives, and but I think overall it is good. The presence on social media of LGBTQ definitely helps, especially like positive things. I
guess still exercise, coming out with caution, make sure
Yeah, and again, it's not everyone's business. It's I guess people. Yeah, so I don't know.
What do you hope is the future of the LGBTQ community
I
and
believe the
understanding it.
children are the future. No. What the future is not what it used to be, as Ronnie Milsap said in a song. Well, I think things will get better again. I think, again, they go in cycles and they go, um, hopefully they'll get rid of the stupid laws that they're passing. I think Ron DeSantis in Florida just passed no pride parades or some stupid thing like that. Just dumb stuff. So it's gone backwards, but I think it will go forwards again. Forward again. Um, and the one good thing, the Supreme Court, I guess, we were worried they were going to make same-sex marriage illegal again, but they've actually have not decided not to take up that case. So that's good. That was like one of a silver lining or a rainbow lining.
Is that countrywide?
Yeah, so the Supreme Court, so they decided, they passed the law several years ago that it was, legal for same-sex couples to get married. And of course, it's very conservative some MAGA Republican, whatever, were trying to get the Supreme Court to overturn that. Right. So but they refused to look at it, which is good because the Supreme Court is really they've got a lot of people on there that they almost turn over backwards to serve not the people, but just so that was one small win. You got to take the win when you can get it.
Because I don't really understand your politics that well.
I don't either.
Maybe guys don't. But if the Supreme Court rules something, could like a state still change it? So could I don't know, Florida state will actually we're not going to accept gay marriage as legal here, or if the Supreme Court said it is legal, they can't do it.
I think, I know like the Supreme Court left it up to the states to decide about abortion now. So so they didn't, if they decide abortion is illegal, I think that means all the states it's illegal in all the states. Right. If they leave it up to the states, they decide, honestly, I don't know why it's called the United States of America. It's the divided states of America. I just don't get it. We're never united. Everyone's fighting.
Ununited states, you'll still be USA.
Or divided states of America. I don't know. It just makes, but as far as politics, I don't, it's not what it used to be. And it's just, they don't even follow the Constitution now. They don't even follow I think we should go back to the UK now. If we were going to leave just to create this mess.
I'm not sure. I mean, I used to always think maybe I should have stayed at home. Maybe I should have stayed in London. But the things that I'm hearing, even coming from the UK, I don't think we're far behind your chaos either, to be fair.
Oh, really?
Really, I think I think maybe the mountains of Mexico is the safest place for me to be at the moment. Is there any advice that you would give people thinking of coming out now?
Well, definitely it's good to do it. It makes you feel a relief. It makes you feel, like I said, it's exhausting hiding it. So you'll just feel more freedom. You'll feel better. You might want to do a little, if there's someone like a parent that you don't, maybe try to feel them out a little bit or ask someone else that maybe knows you're gay. And what do you think of that person? Like I had a friend who, his father till the day he died didn't know he was gay. And his sister was like, yeah, don't tell him. But there was a reason not to. He was, for whatever reasons, they knew that he would have an issue with it. He was older, and so what is it going to do? I have mixed emotions about that. Part of me is like, you know what? That's their issue, and you want to be open, you want to be your true self. But, so I don't know. But so that's one thing I said. Usually it's best to come out, I think, and not everywhere. You don't need to come out if it's somewhere, again, where you work. Sometimes it depends, if you're in the, I would like to think you're going to work somewhere or be wherever you are, you're okay to be yourself and be out and bring your boyfriend, bring your girlfriend if you're, to events without feeling. Yeah. What else? Their advice on coming out. No. Well, one of the things on advice from, like the biggest advice that came out of my book, Rainbow Relatives, was on when people were speaking to kids, they didn't know at what age should I talk to them about LGBTQ people and topics. And most people felt the younger the better because, again, like you said, if you don't talk about it, there's a stigma or whatever. So that kind of stuff I encourage people to do But if you're going to be in danger, like you're in school and you're a teenager or something, and it's going to, there's going to be bullying or something, you might have to, but and stay in the closet. But at the same time, you want to stick up for yourself, and maybe you'll be surprised. Like people will come rally around you, and again, I think it depends where you live. What if it's a conservative state? Because so the advice varies depending on.
And also your culture and your family's religious beliefs. I mean, for me, it's like just exercise. It's not a necessity. Exercise with caution. I mean, there are loads of charities in the States as well that are set up because of kids that have been kicked out by their family for being gay and living on the street. So, I just think know it's not always pink glitter when you come out, but it can also be the best thing you've ever done as well.
Right.
But I lost everyone. I mean, I was in the first time I'd ever had friends was in a Pentecostal assembly, and I was singing all over the country. I was going to Canada and ministering in song. I was doing 100% of my social life was born again Christian. The day I said, I think I might be, I'm being told I'm demon possessed and I can no longer sing. So I lost everyone. So I'd gone from having no friends to celebrating or having so many friends and being loving my life, to losing everything because I told one pastor I might be gay.
That's some advice I would give to someone who's really religious and gay. There's a lot of churches now that have openly gay pastors, openly gay, and it's very affirming. Some of them are like almost totally gay and lesbian churches, and some are just accepting of all people. So you'll see quite a few. So I would suggest find those, because that way you don't have to give up your religion. You don't have to, and you don't have to be persecuted in your own church. You find a church that accepts you.
I think just know your surroundings. I know there is a chance it could go a little bit wrong. So just, if you tell that one friend, make sure that one friend has a sofa you can crash on if you decide you are going to tell your parents no matter what and they kick your ass out. So,
No, it's so sad.
I don't even have words for it. It's tragic.
And some parents just need a little time to get used to it, or they need to, so that's okay. They might not be, they just might be, they still love you, but they don't get it, or this or that. So, you can give them some time. You don't expect it right away. I mean, it took you a long time to accept it for yourself. So you can't just, they should accept it right away. What's wrong with them? But the ones that just throw you out or just say that's it, that's just disgusting. That's
tragic. It's tragic. I was told by someone, I think it was after a friend of mine came out, and he said, it felt like I was a jack in a box. All that pressure of being pressed, like pushed down and suppressed, that as soon as I opened the lid of coming out, I mean, he went crazy into the gay party scene and, orgies and, because he'd felt so pressed for so long. And I just think, all the glitters ain't gold for a start.
Right.
I mean, my experience of coming out was like when I left the gay scene about 25 years ago. I had gay friends, but I never really went on the scene anymore because I didn't like how my life was becoming. It was becoming bits. For me, it was stereotypical. I was at the same pub with the same people every Saturday and Sunday, and I didn't want to be, the guy that I saw when I was 18 sitting at the bar on his own in a plaid shirt was still sitting at the bar in the same corner with a plaid shirt 32 years later. It was just like, I don't want this for my life personally. But it's funny, like when I came off of the scene, and there's lots of reasons because of my career and what it was like in the 90s being a pop star and not allowed to be gay and stuff like this, I didn't even know how I walked differently on the gay scene that I did as a normal human being. I reacted to things differently out on the gay scene as I did as a regular human being. It became a world within a world, and I didn't know how to fit into the regular world. So it took me probably just under a year to kind of readjust how I could be a gay man without a gay surrounding, in just fitting into everyday normal regular life, because I'd got caught up in the whole, yo girl, what's up? Oh, I'm fine, honey, how are you? Do you know what I mean? Like, I got caught up in this whole kind of scene persona that really wasn't me either. Now I can play with both sides of the the coin, but I found that taught me a different way to behave that wasn't really me either, to be fair.
Right.
So I guess it's just get your people around you, people that just love and accept you for you, and want the best for you, and it doesn't matter whether they're a drag queen or a bloody heterosexual 60-year-old school librarian. It don't really matter. It's just get the people that just love you unconditionally, I think is really cool. Mate, any parting words on coming out?
Mm-hmm. Well, I was almost going to say, in the words of Nike, just do it, but with caution. No, like I said, it's it's a relief, and it's a, you know, it's always better to live as your true self, or your, you know, again, not everyone has to know every single thing about you. You just, you know, but yeah, I don't know.
Sharing is caring, no?
Sharing is caring. Yes.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm sure that, you know, everyone is blessed to have at least one. I mean, you were very blessed to have, you know, like your friends and people coming out to you that made you feel safe to be able to come out.
No, I have something good for people coming. PFLAG is a great organization for, especially with parents and kids. It's, you know, it's parents and friends of gays and lesbians. And I've heard about them a couple of years back when I was writing the book, and I interviewed people. And then I marched in the gay pride parade with them, and it was, everyone loves PFLAG. Like in the parade, when they were coming up, everyone would go crazy. Oh, it's PFLAG. So that's a great organization. Find your local one and go to that, because that'll help you come out to your parents, or and help them understand better. So that,
what do PFLAG do?
What do they do?
Yeah.
They have monthly meetings, you know, and people come and share their stories, kind of. And so a lot of times they'll go with sometimes the parents go by themselves. Sometimes they go with
It's like a counseling network, is it? A counseling?
I don't know if it's kind of counseling. They also probably do some social things as well. But they did these, like, I don't know if they call them workshops, or where they have guest speakers. But it's just so that people can meet other people that also have kids who are gay, and how they're doing it. And so I went to a meeting as research for the book, and I got so much out of it, because these people are talking about how they're, you know, when their kid came out and this and that. And I didn't plan on talking. I was just going to listen to everybody. But someone said, one of the parents asked, you know, we always hear these negative things about being gay. What's something like positive that, you know, that we can take? And I found myself answering the question without even thinking. I said, well, I think when you're gay, because you're different, you tend to understand other people who are different more. You try to be more compassionate to people, different cultures, different religions, because you know what it's like to feel different or not to be in the majority. So I think in general, it makes you a more feeling person, a more caring person in general. I mean, you know, I'm being a generalization, but I said, I had never even thought about that before. And I felt like, oh, that's a pretty good answer. Like, you know, that's a good thing. It makes you more, you know, understanding of other people that are different.
Yeah, I would not want to change. I mean, they say, you know, being gay is a choice. Yeah, whatever. Because I would not want to change being gay, even if it was a choice, quite frankly. My life has been so colourful, and I don't necessarily mean in a rainbow way, but it has been very colourful because of how I see the world, because I'm slightly different to other people. And I feel it's one of the biggest blessings I've ever had, to be fair. You know, so PFLAG, people at home will find their link. If you go to the Coming Out on JCTV Facebook page, you'll see in a photo album there are some kind of charities and people that you can talk to. PFLAG is mentioned there with their website, so get onto them if you feel the need to. Mate, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. This flew by. It's always fun to talk to you.
But please, one more time, plug that book.
Oh, okay. Rainbow Relatives, Real World Stories and Advice on How to Talk to Kids About LGBTQ Families and Friends. So it's for adults and speaking to kids, and I got a lot of stories and, you know, fun things in there. You know, everything from coming out to nieces and nephews to 2 dad and 2 mom families and things like that. So it's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and Oh, it's going to be an audiobook coming out in June of 2026. I just recorded that for a couple months, so that's coming out. I'm excited about that. Yeah.
Oh, bloody well! Congratulations, man. That's super cool. Mate, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. As always, I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'll see you again very soon.
Hopefully, yes.
Take care, mate. Bye-bye.
To Mexico.
You might things get worse in the States. I've got a cabin that's free, mate. You might need to, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I'll see you soon, buddy. Take care.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Thank you, Sudhi, for joining me today. It's been really wonderful to catch up with you and to hear your experience and your coming out story. Thank you so much, people, for watching episode 2 of Coming Out. Don't forget, if you have a story to share, it will be wonderful to hear from you. Also, you'll find us on the Facebook page. Bit by bit, I'm trying to develop a kind of an album, a directory of people that would really love to speak to you should you feel that you need somebody to speak to about your whole experience. So keep checking on that. Make sure you've added the Coming Out on JCTV Facebook page as well. Thank you so much. Don't forget, Sudhi's book is available at Amazon and other booksellers as well. So make sure you go and check that out. The Amazon link is in the write-up of this episode. And I will see you soon on episode 3 of Coming Out. Take care. Lots of love. Bye-bye.